guys, so welcome to episode 2 of It's All Perspective. Y'all back to hear me chat a little bit. I thank you for coming back. I welcome you for anybody who is new. Today we are talking about application. So these quick little 15-minute chats might get longer and longer and longer, but I know y'all want to hear me talk about anything that long. So right now, we're going to keep them short, sweet, to the point, whatever point we get when we get in there. And we're going to wing it because my computer just died. Look at God. Roll with the punches. But today we're talking about application. So in the last episode, we talked about analyzation and how analyzation kind of allows you to pay attention to your instant gratification. And application is very similar because in application, you can lean towards your instant gratification, but application in the flesh is more so guarded towards your external circumstances or pressures, right? The spiritual side of application would be keeping your purpose at the forefront. A lot of people aren't able to follow through with application. Me sometimes aren't able to follow through with application because you don't know your why. Knowing your why is so important because it aligns your actions with your purpose. It aligns your actions with your results. It aligns your actions with your goals. But application is hard when you don't know why you are doing what it is that you are doing. I mentioned last episode that we were going to be talking about Daniel, right? So many of us know that story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and how they went into the fire and they were unscathed. Prior to that, right? Prior to that, they were chosen because they were some of the wisest men in the place. And you know what? I don't want to steer you wrong. So let me pull it up for you, all right? Let me pull it up. So Daniel. Okay, so Daniel. So it said select only, Daniel 1:4 says select only strong, healthy, and good looking men and make sure they are well versed in every branch of learning, gifted with knowledge and good sense, and have the poise needed to serve in the royal place. You know what got them there? Application. Applying what they know to their situations, being able to put your best foot forward every single time. And the king knew why he needed who he needed, right? They didn't know why they were doing some of the things that they were doing growing up. They didn't know that it was going to get them to this particular point when the king was looking specifically for them. Like, you don't know how important the actions that you take are for your future. Especially when you don't know your why. Especially when you don't know why you're doing what it is that you are doing. But there are things that are going to happen in life where you do have to apply yourself. You have to apply yourself. You have to apply the things that you learn. You have to apply the experiences that you have been in, and you can't shy away from it because your experiences are different than other people or your application is different than other people. You have to lean into that. You have to lean into that because there is a time when someone's going to be looking for you. And if you're not being you, guess what? They're going to move on to somebody else. And then they're going to have to suffer because you didn't apply yourself. Come on now. We got to be better than that, right? So their names were Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Daniel's name became Belteshazzar. Hananiah's name became Shadrach. Mishael's name became Meshach, and Azariah's name became Abednego. So their story is very, very important in application because they applied their relationship with God to everything. They applied their relationship with God to everything. But I want to focus on Daniel, right? So in the beginning of this, the king wanted them to come in and they wanted to give them the best wines and foods and all this stuff. And Daniel was like, hold up. Based on what I know, this is not going to be good for me. And that's where application is important. Because there are some situations in our lives where people will try to put things on you because they think it's going to be best. And if you don't know your why, you're going to be like, oh, all right, cool. Like, oh, that sounds good. Thank you so much. But when you know your why, you are not going to allow people to apply things to your life that are not for you. Daniel was like, so how about you give us fruits and vegetables, because that's what we do. We know how that's going to feed us. And then they like, well, I don't want y'all looking all crazy. Let me use the words that they said. He said, you become pale and thin compared to the other youths of your age. I'm afraid that my king is going to behead me. So he knew that official who was doing his job, applying those things, or trying to apply those things to Daniel. He didn't want to die. He was doing what he felt was best. And this is where your application gets tested, right? Try the spirit by the spirit. That's not necessarily the right scripture for the moment, but you do have to try the spirit by the spirit. And I said that because in this moment, Daniel had to talk it over with the attendant who had been appointed. And he was like, look, what can I do? He took his application. He took the fact that fruits and vegetables will be good for me, and he put it to the test. Test us. Let us actually apply this method to our lives. And then you see the outcome. Before we go back, before you do or say anything, give us 10 days to actually apply this thing. And a lot of times we fail in our lives because we don't apply it. We don't actually test that thing that we say, oh, that's not going to work. We go off of our insecurities. This is why we need to heal. We go off of our insecurities. We go off of our overthinking. Overthinking is the enemy of application. It is the enemy of application. You are not going to be able to apply anything if you sit in that cycle of overthinking. This is why your why is important. Daniel knew that if they applied what they knew to the situation, it wasn't going to come out like the official thought it was going to come out. They were going to come out better than anything he could even imagine, right? And that's how sure we have to be in our lives. That's how sure we have to be in our relationship with God. We have to know that if we apply the scripture to our lives, it's going to come out better than it was ever going to come out. When we start to overthink, when we start to get tested with the trials of life and the wiles of the devil that's going to come, we have to be sure that every single thing that we know will happen. And I believe it's somewhere in James. It says, think on the things that are good. Think on the things that are just. Think on the things that are honest, of good report. Anything could have happened in this moment. Anything could have happened in this moment, but Daniel had already tried and tested what he was talking about. Daniel had already been through this because this was his lifestyle. It wasn't a diet. It wasn't just something that he tried one day to see how it was going to work or if it was going to work. This was his lifestyle, and somebody was challenging his lifestyle. And a lot of times we don't know how things are going to come out because we haven't been balanced in our way of living. Why overthinking is an enemy to application? Because overthinking creates a pathway of thoughts, of desires, of what ifs, of could haves that go against your why. If you have a why, if you know why you are doing a thing, if you know why you're in position, if you know why you were chosen for a thing, you can put that against every overthinking thought. Like, there are times where I struggle even doing this podcast. Like, what if people don't listen? What if I'm confusing? Or what if? But I had to come back to the space of, Dominique, why are you doing this? Because God told you to. God told you. I don't know what in this is going to create a pathway for later. I don't. I just know why it is that I'm doing it. The same way with Daniel. Daniel knew why he told them that. What you're giving me is not going to be good for me. But I can tell you what does work for me. I can tell you what is going to get me to be all that you think I can be. But you got to work with me. And a lot of times we're not bold enough to be able to apply those things in our life. We're not bold enough to be able to go to those places and do what it is that we need to do. We're not bold enough to go and ask those people, hey, this is what I need. This is what I'm doing. We're not bold enough to be able to say, no, that doesn't work for me. And then we end up in situations that are not good for our health. We end up in situations that are not good for our spirit because we allowed our flesh to lead. There comes a time when, while you're balancing your flesh and your spirit, you have to identify what feeds my flesh. Like me, okay? I have learned that I be craving attention sometimes. I ain't even know that. I just started dating and all of that, and I realized I be craving attention, right? But my spirit be craving solitude. My spirit craves knowledge, right? So in those spaces where I'm choosing between my flesh and my spirit, how do I create a balance? How do I create a balance? I have to make sure that the attention that I crave comes with knowledge. I have to make sure the attention that I crave comes with a better perspective. I can't get attention from every place. I can't be so wanting attention that I allow the wrong things into my ear gates. I allow the wrong things into my eye gates. And that's how I take the time to balance where I'm at. That's how I take the time to balance how I interact with people or what I interact with people for. Sometimes I have to say, no, that does not serve me. I thank you, but no. And I have to be okay with that, even if I want to. Even if I want to. Sometimes it's like, No. So I encourage you all to pay attention to how you are applying, why you are applying. I encourage you all to pay attention to why you're not applying and change it. Pay attention to why you don't go to the places that you're supposed to go to and change it. Because you're the only person stopping you. You're the only person making it difficult for progression in your life. You're the only person holding you back. And at some point, that has to change. Change it. Okay? Until next time.